Hello, everyone. Today we've got on JJ Faulk and Joe Borenstein, and we are going to do some sort of a preview for PA Nats, which is coming up in a couple of days in Reno. And everyone should go check out on King of the Lift's page. They have a link to the fantasy league, so you could input your picks for who you think is going to win and try to beat. Well, you'll beat me probably. I haven't done enough research for it, but try to beat Matt Gary, Rory Lynch. I'm not sure who else, but all the top coaches in powerlifting that have their picks there. So we'll just get into the preview, and we will start with the women, and then we'll move on to the men. This isn't going to be a full preview because it's not necessarily a fully stacked nationals in all the classes. So we'll briefly mention some of the less interesting weight classes for nationals, and then we'll spend more time discussing some of the more interesting classes. So we'll just jump straight into the women, and we'll start with the 47 kilo class, which is one of the more interesting ones. So in this one, 47 kilo class, we basically have a two-way battle between last year's second and third place finishers at Worlds, Jessica Espinal and multiple-time world champion Heather Connor. So Adriana, you can start by giving your thoughts on this class.
Yeah, sure. I'm really excited for this rematch. They have gone against each other twice, both at last year's Nationals, where Jessica ended up ahead. And then again, like you said, at last year's Worlds. It was Jessica's first time at Worlds. It was Heather's, I'm not sure, probably third time. And Jessica came out on top. She placed second, and Heather came in third. And it's pretty much like a rerun of last year, except it's a little different since Jess has come out on top twice. Um, Heather's training, I will say, is looking great. Like she's done, I believe, 150 kilos for two for a squat PR. And then her deadlifts, she's been posting a ton of deadlifts, like hitting 200 for a double, I think. She might have hit 205. I'm not exactly sure, but it's close. And I think it all just depends on if Heather can make attempts, because that's been the question the past couple times they've battled. Especially at last year's nationals, they kind of went head to head, and I think Heather was the favorite. I don't exactly remember, but Heather was posting like phenomenal lifts in the gym, and I believe she was dealing with some hip pain at the time, and there was also some external factors that came into play. So she wasn't able to transfer what she had put up in the gym to the platform. So we just have to see, because I think that's kind of been the storyline going in. Like Heather has these amazing lifts in prep, especially on her squat, but sometimes it just doesn't transfer to the platform, whether that be for depth or whether that be for external reasons like hip injury or whatever. Um, so we'll have to see, but I'm really excited. I think both of these lifters can go over the well, I don't know if they'll go over the world record at this competition, but I honestly think they can get really close. Jessica, she's notorious for not posting her training. I'm on that close friends list, so I'm not gonna spill anything that's been on there. But she did phenomenal at the Texas Fall Championships last November. She put up a big 417.5 kilo PR total. And I think that was with a 177.5 deadlift. And she kind of had a wobble on her second deadlift and she missed that. So she just kind of took it conservative on her third. And I do remember she went into the back and hit like 400 pounds, and it was not too hard. So I'm just excited to see her potentially pull over 400 on the platform finally and see what else she puts up, because it's always kind of a mystery going in.
I mean,
Okay.
recently she did post that was it 170? I think she posted
Yeah, I think she did post that. Yeah, and it was
7 or 8
it
as
was
well.
fast.
Unpeaked, bulked, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the potential to go, I'm gonna say 185. That's what I have her at. but Connor still has the bigger deadlift, so she has the last say. So if she really wants to put whatever she needs to win, she has the answer to the test. So yeah, we'll see. I think Jess has it, just based off history, recent meets. I know she's bulking into the class. I'm not sure what like Heather's weight is, but I know Jess sits a little under as well. So
Yeah,
just based off that, based off history.
Heather's really light also. So
Okay.
they're both it's very rare to have two elite people in a class, especially such a light class that both
Yeah.
are underweight, but in this case they're both underweight, so it's not a factor. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, especially for the smallest class. That's pretty strange to have. But isn't it the lightest class, right? So there's nothing under that unless you're a
Hmm.
junior or sub junior. So yeah, it makes sense. But overall, just based off subtotal and training as of recent with the 177.5 from Jess, I'm pretty sure she has it in the bag. But I wouldn't be surprised if Heather throws on like 205 and for like a Hail Mary and wins it. But I just don't see that as a probable outcome to have.
And you think Jess, and do you have it, where do you think like their totals are on? Do you think like they're close to the world record? What do you think?
Um, I got Jess. What's her record or what's her total right now? 417, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think she has another 7.5 on the dead. And assuming she does like a 2.5 PR on squat and bench, that puts her at what was that 430, right? So I think she's capable of 430 if needed. But I think if she wants to play conservative, she can still come out the win with 425-ish. So just under that world record.
Yeah. And
And
for
how
those
far
listening,
away?
the world record is I think it's 431.5 by Tiffany Chapon. She did that at Sheffield just about a month ago.
And
Yeah.
Joe, so and what do you think about Heather? Like how you said obviously you have Jess winning, but like how far away do you think Heather is? Like you
I'd
said
say a
she could
good
maybe
10
throw on
kilos.
something big.
Yeah, I'd
A
say a
good 10
good 10
kilos?
kilos behind realistically, because as of recent at least, her training doesn't really enter or translate to the platform as well. We always see a dip in performance. Not sure what that is. It could be the taper, it could be nerves on the day. I'm not sure because I know she's a veteran. So having that sort of performance dip year in and year out is kind of strange. But if we're just going based off data and trends, I have to have Jess winning it because Heather still hasn't shown up to her peak potential on the platform yet. So.
And you do think Heather will attempt to load for the win though?
Yeah, it makes no sense not to, right? If you put it up for your third, who cares, right? Just YOLO it or not, because there's no point in like pulling for second place. She already has that solidified, so might as well just shoot for the moon and see what happens.
Okay. I mean, she has to be within reason. Like obviously she's not gonna load
Oh yeah, she's not gonna load
500
220 or
pounds.
something. Yeah,
Right, right.
but I think if it's
Okay.
under like 210, might as well. So
Yeah. Okay. JJ, what about you? What are your thoughts on this class?
Uh, I agree with Joe pretty much. I think their gym totals are probably around 5 keys from each other, or what they potentially can do. So I have Jess around a 430 total, and Heather around 425. I agree that she has the potential to pull for the win, but I think that number will probably be around 210, 207. I don't think she has that. So yeah, I agree. Jess is probably the better lift on the platform. She's probably gonna go 9 for 9, and Heather most likely won't go 3 for 3 on squats. So yeah, I think Jess has the advantage coming into this for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So my thoughts on the class are somewhat similar to both of you. So Heather, start with Heather, right? In training's actually looked probably the best it ever has for both squat and deadlift. She's squatted in the gym multiple times. She's doubled 145, which is over her comp best squat. She's had 200 deadlift for a double, which is her comp deadlift. And bench she hasn't posted much lately. Now the thing is, in general in training for Heather, at least of like the last like year and a half, like before these meets, is she's put up on squats like many times over what she's ended up coming out with in the gym. I'm not sure if it's depth, I'm not sure injury, all this stuff. I don't know exactly what the factors are, but it's not like normally if I see somebody double 145 in the gym, you would say like pretty confidently that you could expect them to hit at least 145 in the meet, especially if there's like no cutting, no other factors. But I wouldn't say that confidently here. And then also bench, she had her best bench prep ever in prep for Worlds. Like she she hit 80 like a billion times. She hit like 82 and a half, and then she ended up benching, I think it was 75 at Worlds. So yeah, she ended up benching 75 at Worlds. So I don't know. She hasn't posted much bench here, so I don't really know whether bench is going well or not. And then deadlift we do know is going well, and deadlift I do believe she'll show up for. The question is how much will she need to pull? So like I think if she squats like something around somewhere in the 140 to 145 range, and then benches maybe a little PR 77 and a half, she probably will have to throw on something over her current deadlift to pull for the win. Jess doesn't really post, and Jess has the current national squat record, I think, with 143. She could probably she squatted I think it was 142 and a half very recently. She's probably in like the 145 range on squat, maybe chip it. Not that's going to necessarily matter because Heather could always chip the deadlift. And then her bench, her best bench ever is 97 and a half, and bench is also looking good. And then, like we said, deadlift is going really well for her. She posted the 177.5, which is her comp best, and that was easy. Now, that doesn't mean like she's going to pull a ton more, but like I could definitely see her pulling like 182 or 185. So I think she's going to come close to the world record. I would put her at like somewhere around like 427 and a half. That's what I currently have her at. I mean, with the chip, maybe 428, something like that. And then I think Heather will load for the win. I think if Heather goes 6 for 6 on squat and bench, I think she will win. I think her top end, if she was able to translate everything from the gym to the meet without like taking a dip, I think it might be higher than Jessica's. But I have a lot of confidence that I'm very confident that Jess goes 420 plus, and I do not have close to that same confidence level in Heather. So I think Jess will win, but I think Heather will pull for the win. And I think if she hits her squats and bench, she might only have to pull like 200 for the win, which I think she'll hit. But if she misses some attempts and has to load like 210, I doubt that will be there. So I think it'll be close either way. I think it'll probably be within like 10 kilos most probably, but I'll lean with Jessica.
Yeah, that makes sense. Heather definitely has the top end potential. And I think she's stronger as, all out. She hits all her lifts, but Jess has, consistency on her side. So, like I said, I don't want to, bet against data and trends. So I have to pick Jess as well.
Okay. So let's move on to the 52s. The 52s is not as much of a battle in this way, but there still is something to mention. So the 52s, we have the main competitors here we have Megan Hurlburt, Vanessa Pineda, Leah Goldring, and Jamie Fisher. Those are our four competitive competitors. Adriana, you want to start us off with this class?
Yeah, sure. As we know, Megan Hurlburt is the strong favorite, but she has never competed in the 52 kilo division. This is honestly kind of a repeat of last year again, like similar to the 47s, where Megan's coming in, she's got this super strong total behind her, but she has to make a cut into the class, which she has never done, at least in competition. And then Jamie is far behind on paper, but if the cut affects Megan really badly, like if she just loses a ton of strength, then Jamie could catch up. And then there's also Vanessa and Leah. They had somewhat of a hiatus for the past couple years, not being able to compete for external factors. So they're coming in. They made like very strong comeback meets, both going over 400 kilos. So I think they'll both be looking to add to that. But again, there are those external factors that they could be still somewhat dealing with. So yeah, it's not as much of a battle as it is in the 47s, as long as Megan can make the proper cut. Because as we know, last year she was slotted to win, like be the sure favorite to win, but she ended up competing as a guest lifter. So we'll see if that repeats and Jamie ends up the national champion again. But in my eyes, Megan, I think she can make the cut. She has a new coach behind her. She's being coached by the Swolefessor, Marcellus, and he knows how to cut. He knows how to cut his athletes. And she's put up some like great training. She's hit a 402 deadlift. Just scrolling on her page here. I mean, she did last compete at bench nationals, and I think she weighed in around 55. So it is still that storyline of her having to make like about a 2 kilo cut, which is big percentage wise for that weight class. So we'll just have to see. I'm gonna back Megan. I think this time history won't repeat itself, and I think she can make the cut. And maybe she doesn't keep all of her strength. Her best total is 447.5. And I'm not sure at what body weight that was, but it was, of course, over the 52 class. Maybe it was around 54 point something. But that's a crazy total for a 52 if she can keep the strength. For reference, I think that would be if she kept all her strength and hit 447.5, that would be within the top 4 best 52 kilo totals worldwide. So she would like immediately be in contention for a podium placing at Worlds.
Okay. Joe, what do you think?
Just based off the stats, Megan has a huge spread on, Jamie, Vanessa, and Leah. However, she does have to make that cut, right? So just looking at her open powerlifting, she did total 447.5 twice. And both times, the first time she was 54.6, the second time she was 54.3. So that's over a 2 kilo cut right there. But just, let's say we take off 5 kilos from her best squat, 2 kilos from her best bench, and 5 kilos from her best deadlift. That's still well above, like the 430, 435 range. And I don't see any of the other girls catching up to that, even on their best day. So as long as she, even if it's like a death cut, even then, if she cuts 10, what's the percent? 2 kilos on what, 50, 54?
52
Well, she's
or
50.
54. Yeah.
Yeah, that's around 3.5, 4% of body weight. So
Yeah.
even then, if we just correlate that to like 5% in dip in strength, she's still gonna walk away pretty easily with the win. Unless she misses like her second and third squat, second and third deadlift. Like if she nearly bombs out, that's the only way I see her losing this. But yeah, it should be in the bag for her. She's got to make the cut, do whatever she can to get down there, and just pull some kilos back on her best lifts and just have a comfortable 9-for-9 meet.
JJ,
Oh,
did we
JJ's.
lose JJ?
I think he cut out.
Okay. So we lost JJ for now. Okay, fine. So we'll get to what I think in this class. And I basically agree with you too. And I would say very simply, I think here it's a battle of Megan versus the scale. If she makes weight, I don't see her losing. Meaning she is on paper, just in terms of what she's done on meets, she's done significantly more than any of these other competitors. And then if you look at what she's done in the gym recently, her training total is even way heavier than that. Like she's hit a 470 training total, not like in a day and not whatever. I don't know comp saying this, that, but if you add her lifts together, she's done 470, which would put her like behind Evie as like the second best 52 in the world. Now, I don't expect anything near that. Not even close. But the question is, can she make weight? And she hasn't. And not just hasn't at like local meet tour wasn't important. She couldn't make weight at nationals last year, which means she couldn't compete. So I don't know if she'll make weight. I'm assuming, like we said, new coach, she's probably closer to weight, and they probably have some sort of protocol for her to make weight because that's all she really has to do. She has to make weight and then just execute somewhat. So I think if she does make weight, even if we take a decent amount off of all of her best lifts, I don't see her losing. Now, if she misses weight, or if like somehow, like we said, it's like a death cut and like she really tanks her strength. So then the other 3 competitors we have are Vanessa, Leah, and Jamie. Now, Vanessa and Leah, I have them like both in the same range. Both expect them to like total like on a good day, somewhere in like the 400 to 410 range. I don't really see more from either of them in their training that would make me think that they're capable of really pushing past that. So that's kind of my expectations there. And now the competitor who I think would probably win if Megan misses weight, or would be closest to pushing her if Megan like loses a lot from her total, is Jamie. So Jamie has always been a huge bencher. And now her bench took like a big hit when she had to switch the bench depth rules, but she recently posted a 110 triple on bench, which I believe would match her, either match or be past her best bench ever, even pre-depth rule. So I don't know how that translates. Triples like on a high arch bencher without like necessarily the best pause in the world. I'm not saying it's not like, oh, 110 triple, like she's gonna bench 120, but like if she can even bench like 110, 115, and then like replicate her best squat, and her deadlift's looking pretty good. She hit 155 for I think a set of 4. She hit 165 paused, like with room in the tank. So I think if she can pull somewhere in like the 175 range and bench like 110, 115, she could put together like on a good day potentially 430, which would be well above her best total, and would be enough that like it can theoretically even push Megan if she gets affected by the cut a lot. So I think it's going to be Megan, if she makes weight, is going to win, and Jamie come in second, with the other two a bit behind. And if not, then I would have Jamie. Okay, so let's move on to the next class. The next class, the 57. 57s here are not really interesting. So unless somebody has something to add, we'll go pretty quickly. We have a couple competitors. Neither of them are like within 100 kilos of Natalie. And Natalie, what was it, 515 at Sheffield?
Yeah,
Or
I
something
think
like that.
516.5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
516.5. So somebody would have to total 516.5 to take her world spot, and nobody will do that. So unless someone has something to add, we could move on.
I
Nope.
mean, Kay, I'll just say like she's pretty new to competing still, like within the last 2 years. So it'll be, and I think last nationals was only her second competition. So she's coming back, and just, I mean, the class is pretty empty, but it still will be great for her to walk away with the national championship, because Natalie elected not to compete. And yeah, that's pretty much all.
I have nothing to add on my end. So yeah, Natalie has the world spot secured.
Yeah. Okay. So now we can move on to potentially one of the most, another, I mean, I guess just another super interesting class similar to the 47s. So we got the 63s, and in the 63s, we mainly will have a battle between Meg Scanlon and Celine Crum. Those are like the two top competitors here. Adriana, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so we also got Brittany Saplicki, but she's likely just gonna come in bronze just because she's a little far behind Celine and Megan. But she is returning from injury, so I'm excited to see how she does. Um, and then we have Celine and Megan. So Megan is returning. She is the previous world champion in 2022. She's won both nationals on the Powerlifting America side, and with like honestly almost no competition. So she's going to be looking to defend her title and return to Worlds. So she had put up I believe it was 537.5 kilo total at the end of 2022. So that was prior to the bench rule being in effect. And then we all know the bench rule happened. She took a little bit of a hit on her bench. I think her bench went down to like 125 kilos, 127.5, when in that super meet she did 142.5. And now it took the whole year, but it seems that she has returned to form on her bench, to the point where she even PR'd her total back in November and hit 542.5, which is, I think, within like 15 kilos of the world record in this class. So she's returned to form. She didn't even hit her best bench, which just shows that she progressed a ton, especially in her deadlift and then in her squat too. She hit, I think it was 135 at that Texas meet, and it didn't look too hard. So we could see her return back to that 142.5 or get super close. So she could be going close to that 550 mark, which is crazy to say because I remember getting into the sport and 500 was like the coveted total in this class. And she's not even the best 63 out there. So she could be getting close to that 550 mark. And on paper, it does seem like she is the heavy favorite to take the title and return the worlds. But Celine is coming in there, and Celine is no stranger to competition. She's won the Pro Series. She beat Natalie Richards at USAPL Nationals. Natalie did bomb out, just a caveat, but she is no stranger to competition, and she seems to always just somehow come out ahead. Like I think she's only lost to Natalie, and I think no one else in her career. Now she is facing a world champion in Megan, so and she has a lot of progress to make to catch up to where Megan is going to be, like near 550 or 540 range. And Celine's best total she put up in October. So she's had about 6 months to progress from this, but she put up 522.5, and she's known for not really posting a ton of her training. So we don't know. It's it's kind of just one of those classes where we can just speculate. I'm gonna say that she's probably made a lot of progress. Whenever she posts her lift, she says, "Oh, this is the fifth set I did out of or this is the fifth set of deadlifts after a SBD day with a ton of volume." So, and the weight will still look pretty well. So it's kind of just speculation on our end to where Celine will be. I think it'll be a close battle. And honestly, I'm always going to root for Celine because she's from my hometown. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be close, but Megan is still the heavy favorite, and no one can deny that.
I mean, I'd agree too. Meg is definitely, she's 20 kilos ahead right now off Celine's best total. So I don't know. Celine always seems to show up. And like you said, she's used to the competition. And I don't think she has 20 extra kilos though. That's the thing. And that's only if Meg stays stagnant and doesn't progress as well. But on Meg's best day and Celine's best day, I still see Celine, being behind 5 to 10 kilos. But if Meg slips up, I can always see Celine coming in there, pulling for the win or something. Because she can grind for sure. You've seen her deadlifts. She can do the panda right there on that deadlift and just grind for 5-10 seconds. So she has the grit, she has the heart, but to make a 20-kilo gap and just close that, I just can't see that happening, especially since Meg has been there before. She's been to Worlds. She already has the experience. So she's not a rookie either. So it'll be fun to see. But I have to pick Meg simply because she is 20 kilos ahead. And yeah, I think Celine definitely has second place secured, obviously. But it'll be fun to see. It will definitely be fun to see. I just want to see a grind, I want to see the upset happen. But I'll for sure be watching that battle because it's probably one of the not the closest, but simply because of Celine being in it and never counting her out, that's pretty much why it's gonna be like eye-catching to just to be there and see her perform. But yeah, at the end of the day, I got Meg. I got Meg taking it home. Even if she doesn't have her best day, I see her winning by 5 to 10 kilos.
Yeah, so my take on this class is it kind of sucks for Celine because she's one of the strongest lifters in the US and honestly one of the strongest lifters in the world. And if she was in any other country except for the US or France, she would have a very easy time getting the nomination for the 63s and would probably be in the running for potentially a podium spot, depending on I'm not sure exactly how much she's progressed since her last meet. But just looking at like training and everything, like she has a strong squat. Um, her best squat in comp is 190. She probably added a little bit there. Her bench is solid. It's 117.5, I think, is her best bench. It's either that or 115. I'm not sure. And that looks like it might have put a little bit there. And then her best deadlift in comp is 217.5. So her best total is 522.5. And I haven't seen enough of top end stuff. She hasn't posted it, so I can't really estimate. But even like adding some, but being conservative, let's say she's in the 530 to 535 range, which is reasonably close to Meg's like actual total. But if you've looked at Meg's training, it's been absolutely insane. She already has 542.5. So her total is well ahead, 20 kilos ahead, and ahead of where I think Celine could have even progressed to. But if we come down to like what she's capable of here, she squatted 187.5 for a set of 4. That's kind of nuts. Her best comp squat is I think 195. So she squatted 7.5 less for a set of 4. She's also, I think she hit 200 for a single. I think she's going to squat 200 to maybe even 205. I'm not sure exactly the game plan and everything because obviously she just needs to win. So she's not going to try to overextend. She's going to just make attempts. And then bench is back looking phenomenal again. We're getting, I don't know if she's back at her top end of 142.5 from before the bench rules, but she's getting close. She benched 135 last meet, and she's done 135 a trillion times in the gym since then, like with a little bit of room. So I'm expecting somewhere 135 plus, maybe 135 to 140. And then deadlift, she deadlifted 215 last meet. I think she could probably add a little bit to that. I think if she pushes, which she does not need to, she potentially can total 560, which would put her literally the number 263 by a mile, like just or behind Leah and Corolla, depending on who goes 63, and then well ahead of all the other 63s. I don't think she's going to need that, and I don't think she will push that far. But I think even on a bad day, I think she'll probably total 545. And I think it'll take a very good day from Celine and an average day from Meg for it to be close. I think Celine wins. I mean, I think Meg wins, and I think Meg wins probably by 15 to 20 kilos.
I'd have to agree with you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to one of the classes, which is much more up in the air. So next up, we got the 69 kilo woman. Now, this one will be a very interesting one. For the 69, our top competitors are we got Gabby Martinez coming over from the USAPL. We got Chelsea Savitt, who's represented us at Worlds. And we got Jackie Malater, fresh out of the juniors, I think, and also just recently switched over. So, Adriana, you want to get us started?
Yeah, sure. You already kind of led us into it, but we've got Gabby, Chelsea, and Jacqueline. I think she goes by Jackie. And they're all within 10 kilos of each other. Chelsea and Jackie are both nominated or their best totals are 530 kilos, whereas Gabby put up 540, I think, at the Texas meet again in November. And yeah, it's honestly super close. Like all of their training has been looking great. We have Jackie, who I think she just started competing in like 2020 or something. Yeah, which is crazy. And she only just broke past the 500 kilo mark in September, and now she's at 530, which she put up at the Pro Duel in January. And since then, her training has been crazy. I think she put up like 185 for 3 PR squat. So that's literally like close to what or that might be exactly what Megan did in the gym as well. So it could be a big or no, Megan's in the weight class below, sorry. But yeah, she put up a big PR squat, 185 for 3, where her best in competition is 190, and that best was from January. So her progress is just like crazy. And she put up a 127.5 kilo bench as well. And I think her best in the meet is 125. And then her deads, I didn't really see much. I also didn't get to look into their training too much, so that's my fault. Chelsea, Chelsea's the veteran here. She's been to Worlds. She's the only one of these ladies who has been to Worlds multiple times. I think 3 times for her. So she's used to the competition. She's not going to get rattled. She's been competing a long time. She hit a bench PR at bench nationals, albeit she is cutting into the class. Whereas I believe Jackie and Gabby they might be cutting, but they're a little closer. But that hasn't been a problem for Chelsea before. She hit a 130 kilo bench PR at bench nationals this past January. I think she even tried for 133, which is a big bench in the class. But she missed it, unfortunately. And in training, she put up a 183 squat, so that's just about 400 pounds, pretty easy. And I believe her best in competition it's somewhere around there. Like I think it's 187.5. Yeah, 187.5. So she's putting up like just 5 kilos under her best in the gym, and it's moving like pretty handedly. So I'll be excited to see what she squats. And then we have Gabby, who doesn't post too much of her training, but she gave us some sneak peeks. She posted a 230 kilo deadlift, and it wasn't that hard, which is crazy. That's over 500 pounds. Like just recently, that wasn't too much under the world record in the class, but we know Agatha pushed that up at Sheffield. So I think Gabby's gonna load up for the win no matter what. And it'll just kind of depend on what the other two put up, like how much they progress. Or for Jackie, we know that she's progressed, but how well that transfers to the platform. And yeah, it's honestly it's a really close class, and I'm just excited to see it.
Okay, Joe, what are your thoughts?
I'm not too familiar with these ladies. I do know Gabby, and I have seen her training. And just looking at her open powerlifting, she's already hit more in her training, or recent training at least. I know she doesn't post a lot, but she has posted that 230 deadlift, like you said, which was moving, very comfortably. So if she just hits that, matches it, matches her 122 that she hit in the gym as well, and then her 190 for 3, which is only 7.5 kilos under her best squat PR in comp. I think she can comfortably take this home, even though, she is facing Chelsea and Jackie, which are very close in total, best totals at least. But Gabby's training has been looking really good right now. I haven't been looking at too much at Chelsea's. I know she had an SBD day not too long ago, and it was around 15 to 20 kilos under her all-time best in comp. But it moved to RP like 6-7. So she has the potential to take it home. She is the veteran. She's been competing since like what, 20, I don't know, 15, maybe even longer. So she can definitely take it home. She's been battle tested. And then Jackie, she's already up there with the 530 total. So if any of these girls were to make some progress and Gabby slip up, and maybe because Gabby's gonna pull last, right? She pulls 230 in the gym, smoked it. I think she's capable of 232, 235. And she's not cutting much either because let me pull up the open powerlifting, but I'm pretty sure she was only like 0.7 kilos over at the Texas meet not too long ago. So she's not cutting a bunch of weight either. So yeah, she'll have the last say. I have to side with the deadlifter. They have the answer to the test. But if she slips up, then I can definitely see Chelsea taking it home because she is battle tested. She does have the experience. And yeah, that's basically my take. But overall, Gabby can just load whatever she wants at the end and just, pull for the win.
Yeah, so this is an interesting class. So we got Chelsea, who's coming back from, I think, 4th place finish at Worlds, had a great meet. And then we got Gabby, who's coming over and seemingly the favorite by most people. And then we have Jackie also. So I'll start with Jackie. She squatted 185 for a triple, which is 5 kilos under her best squat. So looks like she's ready for PR there. Bench is looking solid. She already benched 2.5 more than her meet PR. And deadlift, I haven't seen anything since her meet. She competed recently, so I don't know. Assume she's probably in that same range. I think if she has a good day, she's probably pushing into the 540 range. maybe even a little bit more. So I think she's going to be a serious threat. Then we have Chelsea, who I don't know if she's posting everything or not, but squat looks solid. She hit a squat a few kilos under her best squat recently with a little bit more in the tank. Bench, she recently hit a PR at Bench Nationals, so bench is going well. And deadlift has looked okay, but I haven't seen anything like near her max at all, so I can't really estimate. I assume a small PR out of Chelsea, but I don't think real. I think like 535 is probably around where she finishes, which may or may not be ahead of Jackie, depending what she does, but will probably be in the same range with probably a little bit lower of a top end, I think. But then we have Gabby who's coming in, and she squatted 190 for a triple. Um, her best squat in a meet is 197.5. She's benched around her best a couple times in training. Like expect her to bench probably 120, maybe 122.5, 125, something like that, even with 120. And then deadlift, she deadlifted 230 recently, posted that. And her best total coming in is 542.5. So even on her best total coming in, she already has a small lead, and probably enough of a lead that I don't think she necessarily needs much more. But I think we're going to see a PR on her squat by probably like something like 5 to 7.5 kilos, and a deadlift PR by like 5 kilos. So I think she's going to finish probably somewhere in the 550s, and I don't even think she's going to have to pull for the win. I think good chance she wins with her second deadlift. And then if one of the other two or both of them have like perfect days and exceed expectations, then I think she'll be able to load up for the win with less than the 230 she has already hit. So I think Gabby wins this, probably by 10 to 20 kilos. Like I think there's a decent chance it's close, but I don't expect one of the other two competitors to win. JJ, you just hopped on. We're middle of the 69 women with Chelsea Savick, Gabby Martinez, and Jackie Malater. Do you have any thoughts on this class?
Yeah, I agree with you. I pretty much think that Gabby's gonna run away with it, but second is gonna be really close. Um, Jackie looks pretty good. Her progress is really good right now. I think she's good for around 540s, 537 around there. But yeah, I think Gabby's gonna be, you know, pretty easily in the 550s if she can just translate her training into midday. So yeah, I agree with you pretty much.
Okay, fine. So let's move on to the 76s, which is an interesting class because we have a lot of people that are, I guess, in the running. I don't know how, they're not necessarily all at the exact same total, but like I'll just run through some of the top competitors and then we'll get into the specifics. So we have returning world's representative Dana McNeil. We got Cranon, the junior coming over from USAPL. We got Jessica Kinney, former junior world representative. We got Michelle Robbins, I believe coming down from the 84s. Is that correct, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. We got Claire Zai, who has officially moved up from like the 69s and is now in the 76s. And we also have Chloe Dublin, who's taken a bit of a hiatus from powerlifting, getting married last year in med school, and also even longer from Raw because she had been doing equipped before that. So I don't know the last time she's really pushed Raw, but she's also here. So those are the competitors that will be running for it. So Adriana, you want to give us your thoughts?
Yeah, so you kind of ran through all the competitors who are in contention. Chloe Dublin Nutt, it's really interesting because she has taken that hiatus, so she's actually nominated at the bottom of the nominations. I think just because she had a easy qualifying meet. So she could put up a total that is like in contention for podium, but she won't be in the A session or the primetime session, even though they're not calling it that. So she'll have to live first, and then these other ladies will know what they have to hit to beat her, so she's at a disadvantage there. But I'm still excited to see her return and see what she puts up. And then, yeah, you kind of said with the other competitors, there's also Jessica Kinney, who is a junior national champion, Claire Zai, like you said, Michelle Robbins, Dana McNeil, and then Cranon is the heavy favorite. Um, to me, just well, I guess not a super heavy favorite because she doesn't hold as much experience as these other competitors do. She's only been competing for like 2 years, which is crazy that she's already at around a 550 kilo total. Um, and yeah, I mean, she's the favorite just because I think she's got a good team behind her. I think she's coached by Flex. She doesn't post too much training, like it's more like a influencer account, but she did post a 518-pound deadlift. I think that's 240 kilos, 235 kilos. And it was hard, but it looked pretty clean. And that's around what she did at her last meet at USAPL Southern Regionals. So I think if she just matches her performance, honestly, from that meet and maybe goes a bit above just from the newbie gains, then I think she's the favorite to win. But it all kind of depends on if she can execute or not, just because she is so new. But if she does, and even if she doesn't, I think her future is really bright. I think she can turn into a really big star in the powerlifting scene. I'm really glad she's switching over to IPF. Because she's already got a lot of social media exposure, of course. Like she has like over 300,000 followers. But I think the IPF will just bring more of that spotlight to her, at least within the powerlifting scene and not just like overall like fitness in general. So I'm just excited to see what she's able to put up. Like if she's able to progress a ton past the 550 kilo mark.
I mean, I'd agree as well. Cranon, I think, has to be the favorite, but I know Dana, right? That's how you pronounce her name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know
Dana.
her deadlift at least is going up. Just looking at her page, she's hit 565 deadlift. So what is that? Around 255 kilos. Obviously, it is with pound plates. I'm not sure if it's a power bar as well, but that's 10 kilos above her best deadlift of all time. But she still has, an uphill battle to climb. And then we have Robbins. I know she's cutting down a weight class. She weighed in over 80 kilos at NAPF. So if she can maintain the strength while cutting, she might, secure a bronze medal. So we'll see with that, but I think Cranon has to be the heavy favorite, even with her inexperience. She still has that kilo to gain, or I guess 1 kilo less to cut, because she was 75 on the dot at her, like, I guess, super USAPL meet. So that's a big positive, having that extra kilo of wiggle room. So yeah, she also has the highest total coming in here. So just based off that, based off her, like you said, newbie gains as well, I'm assuming she's gonna continue ascending, and she has Flex behind her as well, coaching her. So yeah, just based off all that, it's probably her meet to lose, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dana can, squeeze in there, pull something nice, and potentially return to the world stage.
JJ.
Yep, I have Cranon first as well. I heard there was a hiatus after her last meet, and she's just rebuilding into this meet, and she already looks really good. She hit a nice 235 deadlift. It was pretty hard, but I think she might have room. And her bench looks decent as well. I think she's good for about 550. And the thing about her is that she is new, so she's not used to these head-to-head competitions. And if she does slip up, I do see Roberts and Dana, right?
Yeah, Dana.
Okay. And Dana maybe slipping into second or third. I mean, slipping into first if she goes about 7 for 9. You know what I mean? So she is a heavy favorite, but hitting lifts is still important. It can cause her a lot of trouble if she misses.
Right. And that's important to know because she did have a competition where she bombed out. Now I don't know if she was with Flex yet or not, but she did bomb out of a competition before, I think in late 2022, and then she came back in 2023 and had that super meet. So like experience is just something you can't buy. You just have to go through it. Um, but I think even so, like you guys said, she's the favorite to win and then make her debut to the world stage.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just give my thoughts here. So we have Chloe Dublin, Chloe Nutt, whatever you want to call her. I'm excited to see her compete, but she hasn't posted that much training, and I have no idea where she's holding. And like we said, she's not even going to be in the session, so it's going to be kind of difficult for her to actually win, or even like podium will be hard, but excited to see that. Then we have Jessica Kinney, who its best total is, I think, 525.5 from last year. She recently did the Pro Duel, and her total was a little bit lower. She just competed literally like a month ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that, and I haven't really seen anything since then. So there's nothing that leads me to believe that she's anywhere past that. So I expect probably to see somewhere between 520 and 530, which I don't think will even end up being good enough for the podium, but she definitely could do more than that. Then we have Claire Zai, who also doesn't really post much. So in the past, she's been a threat. Last year she was the favorite in the 69s coming in to win. She didn't win, but this year she officially has like decided to go up the full weight class, which is good because she really had to like. She previously was 72, then she 69. She was cutting for a while. Now she's probably able to eat, and she hasn't posted that much, but just based off like what she did, which she did 528 and a half at NAPFs, and she's done around that previously also at this kind of body weight. So with like a while now, with like a full year to train at 76s, like I don't know how much she's progressed, but I assume she probably has gone up a bit. So I don't know exactly where she's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was in the 540s at this point, just with like a long time to train at that heavier body weight. But I haven't actually seen anything that would tell me that she's even in the 540s. Forget about more than that. Then we got Michelle Robbins, who's coming down from the 84s, and she's definitely really strong. I mean, you watch her training, she puts up like pretty big lifts, goes pretty heavy, high RPs. But just some of her lifts are a little shaky. Her best squat in comp is 187 and a half. She hit 190 for a double recently. I couldn't tell whether the depth one that was good or not, but even the double at 190 was not like an RP 10. So I don't know how the judges are going to like her squats. I think she might have gotten red lighted on her third last year at Nationals. I'm not sure if that's right, but I think so. If she can hit depth, it's possible that she squats all the way up to 200, which would be pretty big. Her bench is solid. She's benching probably mid 120s. She's done 125 in competition previously, I think, and she's done it in prep also multiple times. And then her deadlift's a little bit of a wild card. Her best deadlift ever was 227 and a half from years ago, like when she was like, I don't know, 20 or something, like from like 3 years ago, a USAPL meet. Uh, since then, she did 225 at NAPFs, so it's not like she's way behind. Just she hasn't necessarily pushed past that since then. And in training, she hasn't. I think the heaviest I've seen in her training was 475. That was not easy. So I don't have any reason to believe she's past that, but who knows? But even with those numbers, like if she can bench like 125 and then repeat her pull from last time, which was 225, and then if she can actually squat 200, which it looks like she has the strength for, then that would put her at 550, which would put her ahead of all the previous competitors. But I think she has just a very big range just because Her benches in general in training have a very iffy pause. Her squat depth is borderline at best, I would say. So like if she totaled 530, I wouldn't be surprised. If she totaled 560, that'd be crazy. But I think like the strength might be there. So it's like I expect her probably to be in the 540s, maybe low five, maybe 550 on a good day. So I think she will be in competition. I think she will she's my favorite for coming in third place. And I think on a good day, she will have a shot at coming top two even. Then we have Dana McNeil, who, if you take up her actual best competition lifts, she actually has the highest total of any of them. She squatted 202.5 previously, bench 105, and her best deadlift in competition is 245. Like I think a couple of you mentioned already, she hit 565 in training on deadlift, which is massive. That would be 12 and a half kilos over her best comp deadlift. It wasn't on comp standard equipment, which it basically never is because she is in the army in Japan, I believe, and she's training on her army's base. So she uses whatever equipment is available, which is not ideal from a powerlifting standpoint. But in the past, her deadlift has translated decently. Like it hasn't been like she's pulled these crazy things on pound plates and then comes to the meet and pulls like 15, 20 kilos less. So I don't know that she can replicate that and pull 255 or 257 and a half. But I think if that strength holds, then she'll be pulling a meet PR. I think she can pull 250 plus, which would already be a 5 kilo meet PR. So I think the big question here is the deadlift. Like squat has looked right around where it normally is. There's nothing particularly better or worse. Like I expect her to be right around where she has been. Bench the same thing, maybe even a little bit lower. Like I think her best bench is 105. I'm looking probably at like 100 or 102. But the big question is deadlift. So if she squats like 202 and benches 102, now if she deadlifts like 240, which she's done at some meets, that would put her at 545, which I think would put her probably somewhere. 545 still is it's possible to win with 545 here. There's no lifter here that I'm 100% confident is going to total 550 plus. I think we have a few who are all capable of it. I think we have 4 of them who are capable of it, but none of them are guaranteed. Of all of them, I mean, Dana's the one who I'm probably most confident that she totals like probably in the 540 plus range, unless she like just pulls like makes a huge jump for pulling for the win. But it comes down to the deadlift. If she can pull like 250 plus, she'll be probably pulling for the win. I mean, she has the biggest pull. She will pull last, so her total will come down, and she takes the big jumps. So that's the thing. She took a 22 kilo jump at Worlds to pull for, I think it was the podium or the world record, something to pull for something.
I think it was the world record deadlift.
Yeah, okay, right, that's what it was. So
Just
she's comfortable taking huge jumps. So it's not so it's very likely that if needed, she'll take anywhere up to like 25 kilo jump potentially to pull for the win. I don't know how much will be needed, but I think if she needs to pull like 250 for the win, I think she probably will and hit it. And if she needs to pull 260 for the win, she'll still attempt it. I don't know. I don't think she'll hit it, but I don't know if there's a number that she will not load for the win, because I don't think she's going to be like 30 kilos behind where she has to load something like ludicrous. But like, I think she probably will have to load somewhere between 250 and 260 for the win. And I think she will attempt it regardless what number it is. And the question is, if it's 250 for the win, I think she probably will hit it. If not, she probably will miss it. So now it comes down to the person. The last person is Cranon. So she is the least experienced of all these lifters. She has a big pull, but not like Dana level. Her comp best is 234, but she has an advantage over Dana, a small advantage on squat and a decent advantage on bench. She squatted 205 and a half and bench 110. Squats and prep, I have not seen much posting, but I did see a 195 single that was pretty easy. So I expect her probably to hit a squat PR here, probably maybe in the 210 range. That's what I would expect. And just maybe a little bit on bench, maybe 2.5 or 5 kilos there. And deadlift she's had some posts on deadlift that makes it look like she's not going to hit a PR. And then she has others, like she hit a very, very easy 225. So I think she probably potentially will hit a small PR there. I don't expect like a massive PR, but I think if she goes 9 for 9, which is a big if, she has the highest top end here. She can total into the 560s for sure, and I think she could probably total 565 on a good day, which I don't think anyone else is capable of doing. But she also can miss lifts and total 540. So honestly, anywhere between 540 and 565, I would not be surprised. I do have her as the favorite, but not nearly as heavy as I think you people have. I think she is. I would put her as the favorite, but I would probably put her just as a little bit above an even odds favorite. Like between her versus the field, I would probably give her like a 60% chance and the field a 40% chance, with like Dana taking the highest of those just because of the big pull and knowing what she'll need. So I think she's the favorite, and I think it'll come down to her execution. I think like she's not just the favorite as in she's the strongest on paper. She if she executes, she'll win. And if she doesn't execute, then the door's open for really any of the other a few of the other lifters. So that's my thoughts on this class. Okay, so moving on, we got the 84 kilo woman, which is another one of these classes that is not particularly interesting, in my opinion. We have Amanda, who put up her massive total at Sheffield, and that is the total that would be needed to break for somebody to get the world spot. Nobody's going to come within 100 kilos. If anyone has anything to talk about this class, you can do it, but otherwise we'll move on.
Yeah, I'll just say that the top 3 nominations are Eliza, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, Eliza Tesler, Marissa Ruland, who have both been on the international stage. So they're kind of the shoe-ins for the podium, in my opinion. And then Tiffany Savage is a newcomer, and a newcomer to like Powerlifting America. And she's the heavy favorite for the win, even though, like you said, she's not going to be getting a ticket to Worlds, barring some miracle happens and she's put on 100 kilos on her total. But like less than 1% chance. No disrespect, but she is the like very heavy favorite to take her first national title in the open division. And her total isn't like, it's not like low by any means. It's just like compared to Amanda, it's low, but putting up a 545 kilo total and being able to progress from that, because she is or let me see when she started competing actually. I know she's being coached by, okay, she started competing like 2018, but she's kind of new to like the USAPL scene, I would say. She's been competing in USPA for a while, but I think just recently she started being coached by Big Body, that's under Flex, and they're probably looking to make some good progress. So if she could get her total up there, like progress past the 545 range, like into 560 or past that in future competitions, then she could be at least competitive on an international stage. And when I say competitive, I mean competitive to the point of podiuming or being like top 5. But it's unlikely that she'll ever get to Worlds, honestly, just because Amanda's in this class. But she could do some great totals at other meets like the SBD cash meets or going to NAPFs or other meets like that. So yeah, she's the heavy favorite for the title. I would say like heavy favorite, like less than 1% chance that she doesn't win, but also a less than 0.1 or 0.0001% chance that she takes the world spot. So yeah, not too much to say in this class, but still exciting to see how much she progresses.
Anyone have anything to add on this class, or we can move on?
We can move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. Amanda is the best 84 ever, and no one's close. Okay. Now moving on to the 84 pluses. This is actually a fun class. So we have the main battle for the world spot between Alexis Jones and Bonica Brown. And then we also have two masters who are very competitive in the Masters World Championships, potentially for both of them in Masters 1, Melissa Copeland, and Masters 2, Patricia Johnson. Both of them will be competing also here. So they're not going to be fighting for the open world spot, but they both are people who are just interesting to watch out for. They're both insanely strong. So Adriana, you want to give us your thoughts?
Yeah, so there's Melissa Copeland and Patricia Johnson. Those are the two masters lifters, and there is a little bit of a spread of like 15 kilos between them. But honestly, when you're in these heavier weight class, that could be one missed squat attempt or one missed deadlift attempt. So it will be kind of a sub battle to see who gets on the podium spot. And then we move on to Bonica Brown versus Alexis Jones. And this is like the super, super heavyweight battle that we've been waiting for. We have Bonica Brown. She's won many, many world championships. She's been competing for like, I think longer than some of us have been alive. So no disrespect on her name at all. She's the GOAT in the class. But in recent years, the class has kind of exploded with a lot of these people making a ton of progress. And that includes Alexis Jones, that includes Sonita Mulu, competed at Sheffield, that includes Brittany Schlater, who won the world championships last year. And Bonica did end up unfortunately bombing out at the world championships. So she did compete at the Texas meet in November and put up a 667.5 kilo total. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where she is, especially since she did this does kind of take away from the battle a little bit, but she did comment on the Powerlifting America preview post today that she's just going for fun. She's been sick most of the winter, and she couldn't train. So she's just going to for fun, kind of seeing what she can put up. She could be trolling, and maybe her training has been phenomenal. We never know because she rarely posts her training, barring a heavy squat or something. So she could be trolling, but I don't see why she has any reason to lie. So I don't think just based off what she says, I don't think it will be as close of a battle. I think Alexis will walk away from it. She's coming in with a huge 721.5 kilo total, which is more than 10 kilos over the current total world record. And that performance wasn't even all out. If you guys watched that at Raw Nationals in September, her deadlift, I think she deadlifted just over 600 pounds and it didn't even look that hard. She's just a phenom in this class, honestly. I think she might even still be a junior. Either that or she's just aging out. And she's finally crossing over to the IPF. She was restricted before because she had a scholarship with her college, so she couldn't cross over, but she's finally crossing over. She came on the podcast. She said she's looking to win worlds, and then go on to Sheffield and win Sheffield. So this is the start of that journey, and I'm just excited to see how far she pushes it in this class.
Okay. Joe?
Pretty much reiterating everything she just said. Melissa and Patricia, that's gonna be a nice battle to see you podiums, especially representing masters lifters. But the overall favorite, obviously, Alexis. She's over 40 kilos ahead of Bonica, and I didn't even know Bonica was considered or she commented under the post saying she was sick. But even regardless if she was the healthiest, she ever was. Even if she PR'd every single lift, she'll still be pretty far behind Alexis. Alexis's 721 was also pretty not deep in the pocket, but it was a very comfortable day for her at Nats. So if she just walks in, not even PRing her lifts, if she just walks in, takes 5 kilos under, have a chill 9 for 9 day, I'm pretty sure she's gonna win. Even if she does her seconds, I think she's gonna be the heavy favorite going into this. And no disrespect to Bonica, she is the GOAT 84 plus, but it's basically a new time, and I don't think nobody in the world can beat Alexis on any given day. Not even Sonita, not even Brittany. So yeah, I think this is Alexis's class. She's I would give her the best in the world. She's the Jesus of the women's side, and that's no disrespect to her. It's just trying to correlate the men to the women right now. But yeah, she's a phenom, and I'm pretty sure she's a junior as well because at Nat she was 22. So I'm assuming this is her last junior year, which is crazy to say that she's this far ahead of the field, only being turning 23 this year. But yeah, I'd probably say Alexis, clear cut favorite. Bonica, hopefully she returns to form and totals around that 680. Even if she doesn't, she's still going to secure the second place medal. And then Patricia and Melissa, it's going to be a good battle to see podiums. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Alexis is on her way to becoming one of, if not the greatest female athlete of all time in the sport of powerlifting. If she just, continue to ascend and, surpass that 721. I don't think she's going to do it this year at all. Obviously, there's no point of, surpassing that world record at Sheffield or not Sheffield at Worlds because she wants to save it for Sheffield. But she will be pushed for sure by Brittany and Sonita at Worlds. But I don't think none of them are going to be near the 720 mark. So I think Alexis is going to have a nice chill year, be able to build, you know, accumulate that training all the way to Sheffield, and then have a super meet over there, which I'm expecting, over 740 that meet. But yeah, this is Alexis's her class, and it's her battle to lose, which I don't see happening. So
JJ?
Yeah, so I think Alexis is definitely gonna win. But I think what's interesting here is that this is the first of the kind of passing the torch battles that we get to see actually happen. Like, we haven't seen Jesus versus Ray or Taylor versus Perk, but it's not going to be close, I think. But at least we get to see it happen. You know what I mean? We get to see Alexis become, you know, the 84 kg champion while battling, Bonica Brown. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Alexis is definitely going to win.
Okay. Yeah, you actually said you took one of my points. I was going to say it's like we sometimes get to see it. We saw it a little bit with Heather and Jess, but that was a little different. I don't actually, honestly, that's the same category. I guess it's a little different because the amount of like world championships that Bonica has is obviously more, but same thing with Ray. But like Heather, Jess, we saw a little passing the torch, although it's not fully because it's still like an open battle of who's going to win. But yeah, it sucked that we never got to see like Jesus Ray when it would have been a battle. Now it won't be, and we didn't get to see like Taylor versus Perk this year, where even if Taylor was there, um, he wouldn't have been full strength, where it wouldn't be really a battle. Like last year's the year it would have been, we would want to see it, and then so this battle also we're getting to see it, but I feel like it's probably 1 year too late. Last year would have been like the perfect time before Alexis had put up like the 700 and 721 total. That would have been the perfect time to have this battle. We're probably a year late now. And just one thing to mention in terms of Bonica, she said that she made that comment on the post, but then again, if you read her caption before her last meet, she made a similar comment about how like she's been sick or whatever, and that like don't expect anything. And she squatted 280, and like 280 still would have been the world record as of like literally a few months ago. And she squatted with room. Like when she said she'd been sick for a bunch of weeks before, like I don't know what to expect, but I do know that she's the second best squatter in the world. And honestly, I don't even think she's that far away from Sonita. Like I don't know if this will be the meet. I don't know if she's really trained, but like it wouldn't shock me to see her squat 290 here. Like, which is an insane squat. And even bench, she benched 145, which is below her best, but she had more there. Like she said she was taking that meet more chilled. And then deadlift's the big question mark, which is just at World, she bombed out on deadlifts, and she had she got calls with lockout, with hitching, a bunch of different calls. Her deadlift's always going to look a little sketchy. It is just sometimes hard with those like leverages and having that big quads. It's just going to look awkward. We see it with Jesus getting red lights. We see it with like big men and big women all the time. Hers, when she often the sumo, which makes it even more sketchy sometimes. So I'm curious to see how that comes out. I don't think she's going to really have a shot of winning. I think even if she does squat something insane, which I think she could, and puts a little more on her bench and deadlift, I think if she's able to beat her best total of 680, that would be insane day from her. I mean, when she totaled 680, that was at Sheffield last year. That shattered the world record last year at Sheffield. They gave her the 5th place spot overall at Sheffield. Like, she broke it by a few percent. And I think she could potentially pass that. But even if she does, I mean, Alexis is the best female lifter on the planet. She is also just, she makes attempts. Like, that's it. Like, other than like she did a single ply meet, I think it was last year. Other than that, like in raw meets, like I think she's missed like no attempts her last like 7 meets or something like that. She doesn't miss. She's a Team Nut represent. Shane Nutt's her coach, my coach also, good dude. He calls good numbers. She does not push, and she's not a clout lifter at all. She never takes anything crazy in training. She just shows up and PRs on the platform. I don't know if she's going to overly push here because I don't think she's going to need to. But even if she does a little bit below her best lifts, like she squats somewhere around 600, which she's done multiple times now, she'll bench somewhere in the 370 range. I'm not sure exactly. She got affected a little bit by bench depth for a while, not because of the arch, just because of her anatomy, but she's changed it up where I think she's fine on bench depth. And then she's the best female deadlifter in the world. Nobody really talks about it. Everyone was talking about like the battle at Worlds in Sheffield, who's going to break the deadlift world record. And like Alexis already had been the first to deadlift 600 before any of them. So yeah, end of the day, I think Alexis wins and totals however much she wants. Like, it just comes down, if she really wants to push, she could probably push past her 721.5. If not, she could probably take low 700s on a chill day. But either way, this is just her ticket to Worlds where she's going to have a more serious battle. So that is it for the woman. Yeah, so that's it for the woman, and we'll move on to previewing the men's for Sheffield, unless anyone has anything to add.
I guess
Nope.
I'll just add like
Okay.
I guess I'll just add one little comment about Alexis. She could I don't know, like you said, we don't know if she's gonna push, but she could pull a Jesus here and put up the all-time heaviest total in the women's division on the raw side, because it is 735 kg by Tamara Walcott, and I think she might have already been capable of that in September, and she seems to just put up like 20 to 50 kilo PR totals every meet she does. So it's kind of an interesting situation too, because she is going to be looking to eventually win Sheffield coming up next year. So at Worlds, she will be in a battle, but if she, let's say, wins by her second deadlift, she might just not take a third deadlift and not want to push that total, thinking strategically for Sheffield. But at this meet, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be breaking world records. The only thing that would come into play is if you want to kind of save that energy. You don't want to hurt yourself or kind of fatigue yourself too much. But we could see her put in all-time great performance here. So I think it just depends on what she and Shane Nutt decide to do.
Yeah, so I guess let me just address that before we move on to the men, which is that I actually remember that 735 number. We had Alexis on, and I remember I gave her a couple of different numbers, and I asked her if these numbers meant anything to her, and that was one of the numbers because we were talking about Jesus. But I would be very surprised to see that, just because on the one hand, your point is good, is that like this would be the meet to do where it doesn't push like world records. On the other hand, Worlds in 3 months, and we're talking about a big lifter. So 3 months is a reasonable normal prep, but you don't necessarily want to be going crazy all out here, where in 3 months you're going to have a battle. And I think it was Joe who said it, where he thinks that they're gonna give her a battle of worlds, but like they don't, not like so much where she's gonna have it like decently easy. I think she's gonna win nationals, and then win worlds, but don't sleep on Sonita and Brittany, and more Brittany, just because Brittany always gets slept on, and she just continuously adds kilos to her total. I wouldn't be surprised if either of them are actually around that 720 range at Worlds. So I think they actually will push her. Like, I think she's probably will be the favorite, and I think she probably will win. But I think they will push her. So I think she she will have to break the world record at Worlds. So I don't expect the 735 at Worlds, but she's going to have to push all these numbers at Worlds, and she will get pushed. So I don't think she goes all out here. I think she goes hard. She's not going to be chilled, but like she probably leaves a little in the tank on all three, or definitely on Squad and Down the Podcast. Okay. Fine. So we can move on to the men.